You're listening to the Options Insider Radio Network, the home of the Options Podcast. For more quality options programs, visit theoptionsinsider.com or search for Options Insider Radio Network in your podcast provider of choice. Listeners can also access all of our programming through our mobile app available in the iTunes and Google Play stores. Select programs are also available via live stream at mixlr.com/options-insider. That's mixlr.com/options-insider. Don't forget to follow along with your favorite programs and submit your own questions for the hosts at twitter.com/options, stocktwits.com/options, facebook.com/theoptionsinsider, or via questions at theoptionsinsider.com. And now, it's time for the show that breaks down the options market from unusual activity alerts to market analysis, strategy overviews, listener questions, and much more. If it involves puts and calls, then our all-star panel will break it down. It's time to hit the Option Block with your host, Mark Longo from the Options Insider Media Group, and co-hosts, Uncle Mike TOSAW from St. Charles Wealth Management, along with Mark the Greasy Meatball Sebastian and Andrew the Rock Lobster GIOVINAZZI from OptionPit.com. And now, get ready to hit the Option Block.
All right, everybody. That music means it is time once again for episode 2 of your bi-weekly options extravaganza, known colloquially as the old OB. My name is Mark Longo from theoptionsinsider.com, as well as, of course, from the ever-exciting, at least we think so, Options Insider Radio Network. Reminding you guys have infinite number of ways to engage with this content, including after the fact on just about any platform under the sun, including YouTube. A lot of you, growing number of you, like to stream it on YouTube. It's still available up there, and more available up there all the time. Of course, if you want to engage on a more immediate basis, then, of course, the plus is there for you. If you want to go above and beyond, you want to get some exclusive, cool shows, then, of course, the pro is for you. Theoptionsinsider.com/pro is the place to go to kick the tires and light the fires and learn more. And, of course, whatever you listen to, however you engage, keep sending those questions. We do love to hear from all of you out there, even though the folks in the secret club, you guys get bumped at the top of the list. Shh, don't tell anybody. It's a secret. And let's see who we've got on the show with us today. First, let's go out to the quiet and tranquil hinterlands of Chicago, where we are joined once again by the uncleest of Mikes, Mr. Uncle Mike TOSAW from St. Charles Wealth Management. Uncle Mike, welcome back to the program, sir.
Yeah, but I just have to correct you real quick, Mark. Thanks for the nice welcome, but I'm not in Chicago. And the other mistake with what you said is Chicago is not tranquil.
Well, Chicago is not tranquil. The hinterlands, though. You're in the hinterlands of Chicago, which St. Charles qualifies as. Way out there in the suburbs by the Fox River, where clam piracy was defeated in the 1860s. All right, let's keep on rolling out to the land where clam piracy still thrives. It is Maine, where we are joined by the Rock Lobster himself, Mr. Andrew G. from OptionPit.com. Mr. G, welcome back to the program. How are things in the GIOVINAZZI fortress-like compound?
They are good, but I've added a new sound besides the crickets because, it's fall is coming. The Blue Angels keep buzzing my house, thinking somehow I am some sort of threat to national security. But when you hear the jets coming by, it is the Blue Angels in a tight formation buzzing my cove. It's quite impressive, actually.
What do you think? It's the Air and Water Show here in Chicago? What's going on out there in Maine? I guess we'll find out as we keep on rolling right on into the trading block.
It's time to break down the latest topics, trades, and trends in the world of options. It's time for the Trading Block.
All right, everybody, welcome to the Trading Block, the portion of the show where we break down what the heck is trading out there. And a lot of green on the screen yet again today, despite some concerns coming into today's show. Market shrugging everything off, looking nice and green out there. Again, S&P up about 1/3%, so pretty much the Goldilocks out there. NASDAQ actually lagging a little bit, only up a little north of 0.25%. And the Dow closing in, not quite there yet, closing in on 0.5% to the upside. So Dow leading the charge out there. That means a lot of vol coming in since our last show. We did have a 15 handle on VIX earlier this week. Today we have a 16 handle, just ever so slightly. It was at a 16 almost exactly right before we kicked off the show. Ticked up a little bit now, about 16, 15 or so. That puts it down almost 1 3/4 points, about 1.6 points from this time last show. VVIX down about 10 handles to about a 105, still north of triple digits, listeners. So bear that in mind when you're thinking about vol out there. VXX, a product you guys like to fade, 24 3/4, down a little over 2, about 2, almost 2 1/4 points from this time on Monday's show. And vol Q still hanging out in the 15 handle, 15.5, down 0.5 point from this time on Monday. Let's go back out to the hinterlands. Yes, I said it. The hinterlands of Chicago to the land of St. Charles. Mr. Uncle Mike, this is pretty much an Uncle Mike type of day yet again. There's green on the screen. What is lighting up your tape, sir?
Technically, we did hit new all-time highs today, but I think with where we are, this has ultimately been a wait-and-see week. This has been one where I think everyone's waiting for the non-farm numbers to come out tomorrow before the open to see if we actually have any big movement one way or the other. Because if you look at, we're at very similar levels to where we were on Monday. I think I think it hit this level on the show on Monday, if I remember correctly. So I think that we are definitely, that there's going to be some pretty decent movement tomorrow, just because of the fact that the market's been so coiled this week. Now, it could be up, could be down, or it could be a resounding meh, as Mark puts it. I could be wrong, but I think we're going to have some movement. 10-year note's been relatively flat on the week so far. And we are getting a little bit of an uptick in the energy sector as well. So I see XLE is actually up almost 3% on the, or about 3% on the day. So that's definitely something to take a look at. But I think that the big number that we're looking at is going to be the non-farm tomorrow. Whether it's good, whether it's bad, who knows? But I think that I'm definitely going to be, not to steal a page from around the block too early at the beginning of the show, but that's something that I'm going to be looking at with bated breath about an hour before the market opening tomorrow as well. I'm actually capped on my upside. I'm still bullish, and I'm still in positive delta positions, of course, but I'm actually capped right now, and I'm looking to uncap that. But I'm probably going to do it at the end of the day. I want to wait till the last possible second to get all that as cheap of a fill as I can on any time decay. It's not going to make that much of a difference, but I do believe that with where I'm going for my position, that's the wise move to do. And I think that the other thing that's going to start playing a factor after non-farm is out is that we do have this whole 20-year war thing. We do have, I believe it's Ida in Louisiana that's going to play a factor in one way or another. And there's a lot of other things that are going to play a factor. But for right now, I think the wait and see moment, or at least the excuse to do something, is going to be tomorrow, roughly an hour before the open.
Thank you for that, Mr. Uncle Mike. All right, now we go out to the land of the rock lobster, the anti-clam pirates, where we can see what's cooking out there in the land of Maine. Listeners throwing some interesting suggestions in there. Maybe we'll get to some of those in a little bit too. But Mr. Rock Lobster, before we get there, to the latest additions to the meme frenzy, what is lighting up your tape out there in the land of the pit, sir?
What is lighting up? So let's see here. I would say very interesting. Okay, so note. So Mike said we're SPY is about the same level as we were at the beginning of the week. We might be like maybe 10 points higher SPX, but not very much. Also here, if you take a look at VIX, like where vol is, are we making a little lower lows? So we crawled down to 16, and 16 is the new 12. I believe that. Did we coin that on this show? If we didn't, we should have. But again, the low Monday was 16, the 16 handle. And today we're the 16 handle. And SPX not moving. So again, we got the 3-day weekend coming out. But VIX vol is not really moving. and SPX is not really moving. I wrote a post yesterday for our subscribers, just calling Biden the Teflon president, because like I don't think let's just say I don't want to get political, but I think a lot of people would be like, okay, I'm glad we're out of Afghanistan, that's fine. But the way it happened, I don't think really was that great. But it didn't seem to matter. It hasn't mattered to the market at all, to be honest. I mean, vol hasn't moved, and the S&P 500 hasn't moved. So, if you look at geopolitical events kind of through the lens of the market, sometimes it's a non-factor. There's just no way around it. So then we move on, I guess. So that is something I thought. I thought that might have brought a little bit of negativity in the market, but hasn't. We're about lows of vol for the year because we hang out at the 16 level, and I think that's where we're staying. As far as like more go-go bullish things, I'm noticing the store stocks like Kroger. It's something we have in our capital gains portfolio. Walgreens, CVS, Walmart. I don't know why those stocks are moving. Maybe because there's going to be some more transfer payments coming. But if you look at, it's not usually Walgreens that's leading the market in percentage gain in a day, or Kroger for that matter. So there's a lot of, let's just call impetus. Yeah, like Walgreens is up almost 3% today. Kroger, I think, is actually up a little bit more. So, some of these stocks, I think I think people are finding looking at like the value stocks that pay a dividend, that don't have a high, PE ratio with the QQs at 380. I mean, I was trying to remember how low they were during the bottom of COVID, and I want to say that they were below. That was what must have been below 200, right? So it's just, I think some money is finding new stuff currently after all I could say is just, massive rallies. Yeah, like 259 that was a September low, 2-year low. So yeah, 164. So the Qs are up basically, well over 100% from the lows during COVID. So for all of you that want 100% return in 1 year, hey, there you go. You had your shot. So I think you're going to see some more money going to maybe different stocks, looking for more value, dividends, stuff like that. So that's what I'm seeing as far as dollar action today. And generally, okay, you got selling a little of this and buying a little of this. Keeps volatility relatively flat.
What are you doing? Are you fishing out there? What are you doing? What is that noise?
No, I'm drinking water because my throat is still destroyed from COVID.
Oh, it sounded like a bucket was just dumped over your head. You were attacked by the clam pirates while we were not looking. Let's see if the market is attacking from an overall volume perspective. And you know what? Not a ton of paper blowing the doors off today. Let's start in VIX land as we are wont to do. VIX, 189,000 contracts. That's not nothing. It's not blowing the doors off either. The ADV has ticked up to about 419. Questionable whether it'll get there today or not. So far, it doesn't seem like it. But again, the day is young. We shall see. The worm could turn at any moment. SPY, 1.81 million contracts. The ADV, a little bit north of double that. The ADV, 3.77 million contracts out there. The S doing a whole heck of a lot of nothing. 437,000 contracts. Usually by this time, we could expect getting close to 700K out there. The ADV is about 1.25 million. It's been kind of glued to that number forever. The Qs, 632,000 contracts. The ADV, 1.25 million. So pretty much right at the halfway mark for the Qs. IWM, 373,000. Looking a little bit more robust. 598,000 contracts on the tape. If you want a deeper dive into what's cooking in the land, a small caps come back a little bit later today, or hit next on your device of choice if you're listening to After the Fact listeners. For TWIFO later today, got some good folks joining me from CME to talk about some of their latest and greatest going on in the world of equities, small caps to micros, blowing the doors off. Now, you folks are really hot on those. Also, some hot things going on in the crypto space over there. Going to dive into all that with the folks who actually put those products on the table for you guys in a little bit later today. And of course, all the other stuff that's making it, movers and shakers, all the other fun stuff over there on Twifo. Let's go on out now. Speaking of movers and shakers, let's see what's moving and shaking in terms of equity options. What's the top 10? What's lighting it up out there from a single name perspective? And it looks like it cost you 243,000 contracts to break into the top 10. And that's one of our new meme friends. I said new-ish. Talked about this on the show recently. They've been bopping around for a little bit, but they seem like they're coming on people's radar more these days. This is BBIG, a.k.a. Vinco Ventures, a.k.a. one of the latest additions, even though, like I said, it's been bouncing around for a bit, but people are back at it. So I guess more of a repeat offender on the meme front. Trading right now, $8.37, off over $1 today, over 11%. And that's good for 243,000 contracts and the number 10 spot on our top 10 most active. By the way, still, even though it sold off $1, 85% of that paper coming on the call side of the ledger. So I'm going to guess, I haven't looked at the rest, but I'm going to guess that's probably also the most biased of our top 10 out here. It's very rare we see something that call heavy in the top 10. Number 9, Netflix. Hate to call Netflix old school, but it's been around for a bit, and it certainly ain't a meme kid. And it's not usually a frequent offender in our top 10 either, but today it is good for just a little bit north of 250,000 contracts. And that one's about 77%, so that's pretty much in line with what we expect out here, maybe a little heavy. Facebook, number 8, 266,000 contracts. Number 7, AMD, so we got a nice kind of swath of kind of our regulars here and just some names you might expect. Number 7, AMD, 273,000 contracts. Number 6, Baba back in the top 10, 290,000 contracts. Number 5 is Palantir, all the way up to number 5, and we just get to the 300K. In fact, Palantir is exactly 300,000 contracts right now. Number 4 is Neo, 341,000 contracts. Number 3, AMC. So the symbol twins are separated today by, it looks like, about 170,000 contracts because AMD right around 440 out there. Number 2, it's Tesla, 569. Number 1, with a decent size, but not really that impressive for this name, Bullet. That's Apple, closing in on 1 million contracts, 976,000 to be precise. Before we get on out into all the other fun stuff, and I do believe we have numbers out here. We have those two. But really quickly, I see you folks out there in the chat all fired up about any. Mr. Unlimited asking, did anyone see any? It was up 3% when it came across my screen, then went up to 6%, and I couldn't pull the trigger. Now it's up 50%. Looks like Nichols saw it. Luigi, a bunch of people saw it this morning. Yeah, don't feel bad. You know, you can't pull the trigger. That's not a fault. It's not a failing by any means. If you're Unlimited and everybody else who's looking at this and saying, why should I buy this thing just because it's getting squeezed up? Well, that's kind of the only reason. It's just a momentum play right now, right? And looks like it's up 52% right now, trading north of $10. This is any, ticker symbol any. This is Sphere 3D Corp. I have no idea what they do outside of the fact that they're getting squeezed to high heaven out there today. Let's look back. Dare we look back 5 days? Let's see. Yes, 5 years ago, it was trading $4.62. Had a nice little pop, 520 to 740 on Monday. And they kind of gave it back, got back to 564 on Tuesday. Then they kind of kept trending north, got up to $7 a change again on Wednesday. Drifted lower on Wednesday, back to 663, and now it's on the next leg, next kick up. It popped from, 663 Wednesday. Today it opened at 689 or so, and then shot up to, looks like it got up to about 10 and a quarter today. So it's flirting with that level, up over $5. So this is an impressive run. Mr. Rock Lobster, did this any name, one of the latest additions, it looks like, to the meme squeeze-a-thon? Has this one come across your radar over there, sir? Any of your crazies in the pit slinging any?
Slinging any of this meme stock? Actually, I don't think that one has hit Mark's. That one hasn't hit Mark's radar yet. So I wish I could pontificate on it a little more than I have, but it has not. I don't believe it has crossed our Robinhood radar, our meme, our meme finder as yet.
This thing is trading right around $10. The 15 calls trading nearly $2 right now. The 7 puts trading $1.35. So yeah, you could sell that Triangle for a lot of juice, but then again, this thing could easily blow through that thing in a minute. So sell that premium at your peril. But intriguing stuff here, nonetheless. Here, a new addition to put on our watch list, a new addition to put on our meme list. Speaking of our lists, It's that time, listeners, hot off the presses right before showtime. We got the numbers here from our friends over there at OCC. Everyone's asking every month, can this crazy party continue? I know it's kind of hard to call a post-pandemic, well, not really post, mid/hopefully tail end of pandemic, mad volume explosion, the meme. Can all this continue? And the numbers coming out of OCC say the answer for August was a resounding yes. August volume up nearly 31% from this time last year, 805.7 million contracts. Again, up nearly 31%. And again, once again, every month this year has been the highest of that month ever. So July was the highest July ever. August, keeping the trend alive, the most active, the busiest August in the history of the options business. And also, people want to know, is this trend going to rally through the end of the year? So far, year-to-date ADV, 38.8 million contracts going up a day, listener. That's in August. I mean, some of you are newer to the game, newer to the space. August is nothing. August is literally the doldrums of summer. Nobody's around. Nobody's manning the desks. Nobody's trading anything. Nothing happens usually in August. So to have that much paper going up in what is typically the sleepiest month of the year, usually, maybe outside of like the latter portion of December, early parts of January, when the holiday stupor hits everybody. That's nothing to sneeze at. Let's drill down a little bit further. Obviously, OCC clears a lot of stuff. Options volume for August, 801.5 million contracts, up 31%. Let's drill down a little bit further. Equity options, 761.8 million contracts, also up nearly 31%. That number includes ETF options. If we pull those out separately, that gets to almost 200 million, 199.5 million. That's a 5.1% increase. ETFs have kind of been struggling. ETFs and indexes and futures have kind of been some of the few dark spots sometimes, but they managed to get a little bit of a lift in August. Index options, nice boost in index options. Index options volume of 39.6 million, up 35% to this time last year. That's impressive. Now, futures still struggling to hold their ground. Obviously, that's VIX futures with 1.3%. The MGX, the spike stuff that goes through MGX, which clears at CME. So if you're wondering, the spikes futures not included in this, and spikes futures have been putting up some numbers. We'll get to that tomorrow. I just got some numbers from MIAX the other day, a release about a new record out there. So spikes futures doing all right. Overall, VIX futures down 1.3%, 4.1 million contracts out there in VIX futures land. Mr. Rock Lobster, any surprises for you in those numbers, sir? The fact that index options up strong, 35%. Those have usually struggled of late. Futures continuing to struggle, though not quite as bad. And everything else blowing the doors off, sir. That would be you, Mr. Rock Lobster. Are you there? Are you alive, sir?
I am alive, but I thought you asked TOSAW. I'm sorry. I'm totally. I have to submit. My brain is still a little COVID-y. I get a little bit in and out. Can you repeat the question? I was just asking if any surprises were lurking in those numbers. It sounds like all surprises to you because you didn't hear any of it. But because as I look at it, I have my brain is just. I swear to gosh, the worst thing is like I'm much better than I was, but you kind of are like on this. Okay, you're 80%, you're 60%, you're 70%. You're like it takes forever to get things back together. So, oh my word. Is this actually? I am a little bit surprised by the volume because we just haven't done very much. Doesn't it feel like we haven't really gone anywhere? I mean, we may do all-time highs, but it's not like people were punching the doors. The only thing I can think of is I guess just tech. Tech is still just leading the charge. Do they break out the tech numbers on this?
No, they don't break it out by sector. They just kind of do it overall by, index equity. That's kind of about as narrow as they get. They don't go like sectors within the equities or anything along those lines. But that would be interesting. That would certainly be how much of this is meme? What percentage of this is are your Vinco Ventures of the world? That would be an interesting. I'm going to have to ask the Flow Master that because he's the kind of guy who could pull out. We'd have to obviously define exactly what a meme stock is, create a list, and then he could go back and search. But I think there's a pretty usually reliable stable of names we could put in there and see exactly what percent, that might be, I might have to shoot that to the Flow Master. He's probably listening right now. He might send it in to me as we're doing the show. But Mr. Flow Master, if you're listening, we need a meme report so you can see exactly. We'll allow you to draw the line. You can be the arbiter of what is a meme and what is not as we keep on rolling right on into the Odd Block.
It's time to break down the most interesting, unusual, and downright questionable options activity that's been identified by theoptionsinsider.com. It's time for the Odd Block.
All right, welcome to the Odd Block, the portion of the show for those of you who may be new, or for those of you like the Rock Lobster who've forgotten everything before the last 5 minutes. This is the portion of the show where we take unusual activity that is surfaced and highlighted by our proprietary Eye of Sauron. And then we look at it and analyze it, tell you what we think about it. And sometimes we also go back in time and look at some names that we've highlighted in the past, and we see how they've performed, if they made or lost money. Mr. Rock Lobster, does that sound good to you? Can you handle that?
Well, if I don't screw it up, but I believe I have done this before, I will try to channel my previous abilities here on the Odd Block.
All right, we'll see what we can do here. Let's see if we can ease you into it, Mr. Rock Lobster. We won't get crazy. We won't get memey. This is probably the opposite of a meme name. This is Visa. Ticker symbol V. Trading right now 224.5. Up a good year, but let's see what it's up to today. Today, not a great day. Giving up a good chunk of what that year was today, up about 2.5% on the day, or almost 570 out there today. So a little bit of a sell-off out there in Visa. A year ago, about trading 224 and about a half right now. A year ago, it was trading 216 and a half. Then it got hit pretty bad down to, looks like about its 52-week low. Looks like it hit 179 and a quarter about. That was back in late October, early November, late October of last year. Then it rebounded very aggressively, right back up. By November 9th, was trading 212 again. So it looks like it had a little V-shaped sell-off and recovery here in Visa as well. Then it kind of vacillated around that level for a while, sold down again to 193 back in late January, then rallied hard again by March 11th, was trading 226, and then kind of sold off again right back down by March 19th, trading 206 again. So. And then back up by, this thing's had a lot of false starts here. April 29th got up to 236, so it rallied 30 points. Then it sold off again down to 220. Then it seems like it began a nice steady march up from there, from 220 on May 12th. Looks like it topped out at the 52-week high of about 252.67. That was on July 27th. Then it sold off down to 236 by August 4th. And it's kind of been trending lower ever since. So this one's had a lot of false tops. It hit some levels and it came right back off, and then it rallied again. So, yeah, fastest prologue, maybe, who knows? Maybe we're due for another rally, or perhaps this sell-off has a little bit more to go before the rebound kicks in. But either way, pretty topsy-turvy for a relatively established, staid name like Visa. Let's see what our Eye of Sauron found out here. Looks like Mr. Rock Lobster. Looks like someone wants to keep the party alive. Maybe a bit of a house money roll here. We'll see, because our Eye of Sauron found first the NOV 230s going up through the offer for nearly $7, $6.99. They were offered at $6.95. 230, by the way, listeners, where was the stock when this went up? The stock was 223, so it actually was lower than it is right now. But yeah, they paid for these bad boys. They paid nearly $7 for a call that was $7 out of the money by November. Wow, that's interesting. The vol obviously was moving around quite a bit then. The vol was only 23.5 when this went up. Obviously, we got some stuff popping off. We got earnings on the 27th, so I'm not sure what's crushing them today. But, oh, no, that was a week ago. They tried to jump into the NFT space, so I don't know what's driving them today. But they do have earnings on the 27th that are included in these NOVs. So we thought this is a weird one. Let's see if anything else is cooking out here. And we did find a total of 15,000 of these NOV 230s have traded on the day now. So looks like they came in for two more chunks of around 5,000. And a little bit around the same time, not marked spread, but a similar time frame, we also saw about 10,000 of the SEP 230s going up today. So the NOVs are opening. SEP went up, though, in small blocks, very small blocks. 200 here, 200 there, a lot of 200 lots, actually, and then 150. Total of about 10,000 of the SEP 230s went up today, all in small chunks of like 200, 150. And the OI is close to about 10,000, close to of the SEP 230s have traded, and the OI is in that ballpark, about 9,300. So maybe some extras have traded as a result of this move today, and it looks like Mr. Rock Lobster has the feel of someone taking the SEP 230s off the board and then opening with an aggressive passion out there in NOV, and maybe doing it on a ratio of 1.5 to 1, because there's 15,000 going up of the NOV 230s versus only 10,000 of the SEP 230s. Mr. Rock Lobster, a lot of weird things here, a lot of moving parts, small blocks on the SEP, but it seems like it adds up to right around the OI. Big blocks in the NOV and paying extremely beefy levels through the offer for those. A lot of weird stuff. What's your take, sir? Or is this too much for your COVID-addled brain, sir? Oh, seems like the mute button is too much for your COVID-addled brain, sir. Are you there?
You know, what's funny is I thought I had my act together, but I was coughing and hacking, and I didn't want it to be, so I muted. And then I forgot to unmute. I'm like, my game is like, it's just not there today. Thank gosh for TOSAW. Anyway, this trade in these trades came up, or the stocks came up. It kind of feels like, by the BTFD syndrome, right? Where rolling out of the SEP out of time and into the NOV. We got 250 was a recent high in Visa. So, yeah, I think this has a kind of a buy the dip feel to me on this one, I have to say.
So you're down for the house money roll here, keeping the party alive into November on a ratio.
Yeah, but I mean, volume-wise from SEP, that's a pretty big chunk of volume. It feels like they got. I don't know if they made enough money to pay 7 for the NOVs, though, right? I don't think they did. That's a lot. No, so I think they ran out of time on their SEP. They took the juice they could get, and I think they tried to discount their November cost with it somewhat. But I think this is a buy the dip trade if I've ever seen one.
Yeah, the SEPs traded all over the place from $3.15 down to $1.13. So they had a wide range on those that they were trading, 200 at a time throughout the day. So I don't know. I'm going to guess they averaged out somewhere in the middle there. So they maybe got a couple of bucks off that's nearly $7 that they traded. So you're talking, nearly $5 maybe they got those calls for. But still, this is a weird one. We're going to keep an eye on this one, listeners, and see what's going on. Visa, all over the place out there today. Speaking of all over the place, we're going back to a name. This one was the contributor to what I named at the time, probably the weirdest odd block trade we had ever seen. If you call back, earlier on the odd block, listeners, it was this massive call palooza we saw going up in Denison Mines, the cheapy uranium name that was trading somewhere around $1, maybe up $1.15 or so at the time. And someone was coming in just buying hundreds of thousands of the, I think 2, maybe even 2 half calls. I forgot exactly the strike. And paying ridiculous amounts for them, $1.50. I think they're buying $1.50 half calls and above, and paying high levels. And so that was a great trade to get in the other side of. A lot of people did the covered call. I dove into that one. I kept an eye on Denison for a while. It kind of got sleepy, so I haven't really paid attention to it. But now it looks like it's back. Denison Mines back on our radar. It looks like it has moved a bit since the last time I checked in with it too. Trading $1.36 right now, so it's had a nice run. When I was watching it, it was kind of hovering between like $1.15 and 95 cents, and usually closer to $1 most of that time. So I did a few other covered calls, not even covered calls, just kind of overwrites and things, and selling some puts against it after that big covered call trade. Then, like I said, it kind of got sleepy, so I kind of moved on to other things that were more attractive from it. You couldn't even really wheel into this thing. There wasn't a heck of a lot to really do with it. But now it looks like it's on a nice little run here. Uranium popping out here. So, yeah, a year ago, this thing was trading 55 cents. That's one of the things that caught our radar. I do believe this crazy trade was around the Jan-Feb timeframe of this year. I'll have to go back and see when we saw that crazy Denison Mines trade. But, yeah, this thing has had a nice run. and has topped out at $1.80. That looks like that was during, let's see, hit 151 on February 17th. I'm not sure. It must have hit, when it hit $1.80. It must have been either February 17th or it hit that level close to it again in June of this year. So it's had a few runs to this level. Then it usually has retreated, bounced around in the buck range to down to 93 cents. Not that long ago, it was trading below $1. Yeah, it was trading 98 cents. Just on August 19th, that was probably the last time I looked at it. I think it was trading around 90-odd cents. So, yeah, things had a nice little run. Someone coming in today doing the opposite of the trade we saw before, not loading up on the upside, but deciding to take some yield, Mr. Rock Lobster. And they're not messing around. They're going all the way out to January of 2023. So they're taking some upside off the table today, Mr. Rock Lobster, to the tune of 3,400 times. They got nearly 50 cents for these, 47 cents for the Jan 2 calls. They had to sell them through the bid to get done. The bid was 50 cents. I don't know why they couldn't get 3,400 done. I guess they couldn't. The stock was higher then. The stock was $1.41. It's $1.36. Now, there are obviously earnings between now and January of 2023. And this time they are in next one coming up in November. So not a terrible yield for what we're looking at out here. I mean, the stock at 131 out there right now. You're talking all the way through Jan of 2023. You're getting around a 35% return on this trade, Mr. Rock Lobster. Of course, you're also clipping pretty much all your upside beyond the 2-strike on this bad boy, which, again, it hasn't really threatened that. And let's see if any more of these have gone up since this first got highlighted by our. Let's just look really quickly. What's Dennison up to today? So total looks like now, Mr. Rock Lobster, of 6,000. So they came in for more of these bad boys. A total of 6,000 now. I don't know. Again, I'm not usually a fan of these crazy long-term set it and forget it covered call type trades, but he's not getting it. By the way, if you're wondering, that's 102 volatility. So it's not like he's getting nothing for this. But what are your thoughts on tying this one up for over a year, Mr. Rock Lobster, but getting about 35% to do it?
Interesting one. So I would just say 100 volatility in a $1 stock is, still not a lot. I mean, it's not 20 vol, but you're only getting what Jan 20, you're getting a year and a half is 47 cents. So your yield is what, 25% for the 2 call. And if you buy the stock at 136, so I mean, I can see that as a decent yield play for someone. Although I think Alex would, lose his mind and just say, just buy the damn stock for $1.35. This is actually one of my partner here on Capital Gains. This was one of kind of his lotto ticket type trades to see if the green energy people ever embraced nuclear energy again. So I think Dennison's out of Australia, I believe. So this is, this is always on my radar. It's Canadian. It's one of these just oddball ones, right? Where it kind of reminds me of Brazil. It's sort of, the opportunity always seems to be around the corner, but it never does much right now. So, I mean, it is making a little move out. So I think, again, this is a decent yield play. You spend, that's a 25% yield, plus you're buying the stock for 136. That's probably around 100%, right? Return on your money. So not quite, but close if it goes up and out. So again, an interesting trade to generate those dollars. So I mean, not terrible. It's one of those things where you're buying it and you're waiting for you're just waiting for a year to make your money. So there's nothing wrong with that, by the way. It's just a longer term investment. It's not. I wouldn't really call this a trade per se.
No, yeah, I had a few. I think I got wheeled into some Dennison, some of my trades. I just wheeled out of it again. I got bored with it. So not much going on here. But you like this one, listeners? Longer term? Is this one that cites you nearly 50 cents, 100 volatility, kind of a set it and forget it? But then again, if it gets up to that 2-strike and you get called away, you're out at nearly 250. That's a nice run for the stock. And if it dumps back down to $1, you're still good on this trade. So interesting one. What are your thoughts on this one? Denison had some interesting covered call opportunity setups in the past, and it seems like people are discovering that again out there, but going a little bit longer term. All right, let's go on out now let's review a trade we did back on August 2nd. So exactly a month ago. This was from NWSA, a.k.a. News Corp Class A. I won't tell you where they're trading right now. That's a bit of a spoiler. Let's go back to what we talked about in a second. We profiled at the time. Someone really had to have Mr. Rock Lobster. The AUG 25s back on the stock was $24.84. We profiled paper gobbling up 3,765 of the AUG 25s, paying 92.5 cents. That's through the offer by over 7 cents. They really had to get these bad boys. That's a 42 vol. So someone was super jazzed about getting into News Corp. More came in after that to the tune of about 5,500 on the day trading there. So some folks really wanted this bad boy to pop. Didn't seem like it did that. The stock closed at $22.10 on expiration. And it seemed like these folks decided to bail on this trade pretty quickly. I said about 5,500 traded on the second. The very next day, the OI only got up to about 4,600, though, which is interesting. All of that was opening. So there's obviously a little bit of a churn and burn just that day. Then the next day, 3,000 more traded. The OI was pretty much unched. Those are weird ones. But the next day, it looks like someone came and bailed on about 2,500, which would be close to half of the trades we saw the previous day for 50 cents. So if we assume that's our guy or gal out there, it looks like they dropped around 75 grand on that portion of the trade. And then the next day on the 4th, another 1,300 or so traded for around 68 cents. Got a little bit better fill there. So if we add those two together, it's close to our first print of 37.50 out there. And that would mean they lost about 30 grand on that second lot if that was them. So that'd be a total of around 100 grand that they dropped. If it is indeed our same person, there was a little bit more volume going up than the OI, and there was obviously a little bit of churn there. So it's hard to directly trace it. But by expiration, there wasn't a ton of OI left on these calls out there. So there were, let's see how many left out there at OI. Yeah, there were some open, but not a ton. So it seems like they took off at least 3,700 lots. It seems like they gave up pretty quickly, Mr. Rob. After trading through this offer, they decided, oh no, and they got the heck out of Dodge. Almost literally the next day out there, which again, we say, you need that move to happen quickly. And it seems like they decided very quickly that they weren't going to get. I'm not sure if the earnings were the 5th. So they didn't even wait for earnings. They took them off before then. So that's a bit surprising. Mr. Rock Lobster, again, it's hard to trace A to B with these contracts exactly, but they line up pretty well. It seems like someone really swung for the fences and then got spooked the very next day, Mr. Rock Lobster.
That is, you see that and you go, what did they do? What did they do with it? It's such a, I don't know what they were looking for. You buy through the offer, crazy bid, and then you don't have any action in the stock. So, I don't know, maybe they were front running a, potential takeover announcement or something, but at least they got out of what they got out of, is all I can say. So it's like any trade, like if you have this idea and then all of a sudden you see like your idea is going down in flames, how long do you want to stay in? I guess is the question. So apparently their answer was not very long.
And my answer to what is coming next is, why, it's Thursday. It's the mail block, of course.
It's time to take your seat on the All-Star panel as we read your emails, tweets, Facebook messages, website comments, and much more. It's time for the mail block.
All right, everybody, welcome to the mail block, the portion of the show where we break down what your questions are. But before we even get to that, I was going to have Mr. Uncle Mike do this, Mr. Rock Lobster, because he is our current reigning and defending wrestling game champion. But unfortunately, he had to step away for a minute. Got some stuff cooking over there in the land of St. Charles. So, Mr. Rock Lobster, COVID-addled as you are, you will have the pride of place because the month of August is now in the books. We kicked off September. That means it is time to go back and choose our Options Insider Pro Trading Crate winner for the month of August. Remember, this is only open. This is exclusive to you folks on the pro side. So folks in the secret club, get ready. Listen up. We shall see. We have it set up now. We got a cool little setup here. with a bunch of numbers for your order where you joined and everything and all that stuff. And then I'm going to hit a button. It's going to start generating numbers, I should say. Mr. Rock Lobster is going to tell me when to stop. And when he does, I will stop it. And whoever's number that is next to, that shall be the winner of the Pro Trading Crate. By the way, I'm looking at the ones that are sitting here in the studio. For the other two that have been won, they are ready to go. They're ready to go out. Unfortunately, we like you guys too much. We keep getting these cool, we don't just go to Joe's T-shirt hut. We go to Land's End for some of this. We got you nice, cool Options Insider gear, and they take forever to send it to us. So we're waiting. We don't want to send multiple boxes to you guys. So as soon as the T-shirts come in from Land's End and all the other cool gear, we'll get them in the crates, and those will go out. Everything else is ready. So don't blame us. Blame the Land's End. So we're going to add this third one to the mix, and then it should be fun. So Mr. Rock Lobster, I'm going to hit the button. It's going to start going, and then you're going to tell me when to stop. Are you ready? Do you understand, sir?
I do not at all. What do you want me to do? Say stop when it's time to stop?
Yes, I'm gonna hit the button. I'm gonna say, okay, I'm gonna go, and then you could wait however long you want, and then tell me stop. That's all you need to do, okay? And I will stop it, and then that will determine our winner. That way, we have another level of randomness to it, and then you get to play along too. Isn't that fun?
I'll see how much fun I can have.
COVID-addled Rock Lobster. He's even more fun. He's even more fun. All right, here we go, Mr. Rock Lobster. All right, I have hit the button. The random number generator, well, not random, it's going through the list of people. It's going through the list of our pro members here. All right, it's going. I can see it cranking. Tell me when to hit stop, sir.
Stop now.
All right, I hit it. All right, just as you said it, I hit it. All right, let's see. All right, who is this person? This goes, so our winner for the August Pro Trading Crate, hold your tickets in your hands. Let's see, pro members out there, is Kim Roche, maybe I'm butchering that, I don't know. But Kim, you're the winner. I see you're actually one of our annual members, so we love you. You joined very early. Kim, I don't see you in the live, though. Where are you? You got to get in there. At the very least, I know a lot of you, you're very busy folks. You're very successful, and dare I say it, very attractive people as well. And so I get it. You can't always make the live stuff, but you should definitely be sending in questions via that member hotline for our pro Q&As at the very least. And also maybe you have some interesting activity you want us to parse on oddities. Hit us up. Let us know. We want to hear from you, Kim. You're part of the fun club. That's one of your cool benefits out there, and including you are now the winner. So our producers will be reaching out to you, Kim, to get your size for your exclusive options. And also we need to get your preference, your educational preference. People have been picking some of our stuff. So you have to see what we have in the vault there for you folks, your educationals. You get your gear size, and we'll also need your educational preference. And we will put together. The rest of it is up to us. It's a bespoke. Every one of these is one-off. And you will see what other cool gear you get. Some cool stuff from the world of options. Maybe some firms that aren't around anymore. You get some cool, unique stuff you can't get anywhere else. You never know. We got all of it here in the vault. So that should be fun. So congratulations to Kim. Everyone else who's on the pro side, thank you so much for being part of our secret club. The clock is now reset. You guys have another tilt at the windmill coming up here for September. So keep on playing. Speaking of playing, you guys have been playing up a storm in our questions of the week. We actually added a new one this week because the news broke this week about PayPal potentially getting in to the brokerage business. So before we get to our big question of the week, we had a quick flash poll we threw in there. The flash polls are shorter, listeners. They only live for a little time. And you can find these over there at Options on Twitter. And we asked you, hey, rumors swirling that PayPal is getting into the brokerage business. Quite simply, would you use PayPal as your broker? We gave you 4 choices. Obviously, yes or no are the answers, but we gave you a little bit of different reasons as to why. You want to say, yes, I would use them because I like PayPal. Yes, I would use them because I'm not satisfied with my broker. Or no, I would not use them because I don't like PayPal. Or no, I would not use them because I'm happy with the broker I currently have. Those were your choices. And Mr. Rock Lobster, looks like the brokerage industry can breathe a sigh of relief, and perhaps PayPal should be a little bit nervous because 45.5% said no, they would not participate because they are pleased with their current broker. You add in, I don't like PayPal. No, that was another 27.3%. So you're talking closing in on 75%, Mr. Rock Lobster, that just said no to PayPal completely. So perhaps not the results they wanted, Mr. Rock Lobster.
Yeah, I you know what? I never found PayPal very easy to deal with, personally. And I'm doing a little side-by-side of a few platforms at once. And I have found Interactive Brokers, actually, not a plug, but has superior fill quality so far, I have found. But because I am doing a little test on my own. But as far as this goes, another thing, like Mark was talking about, PFOF might go away. So PayPal is getting into the business at the exact wrong time.
Worst time. The worst time. The money is drying up, baby.
So, which I believe that, payment for order flow, it would, make option commissions go up again, obviously. But I think, it definitely benefits. There's no doubt it benefits, all of the big, market making firms that have basically dominated the industry in the last 15 years. So I personally would like to see it go away and have a little more egalitarian spread of liquidity providers instead of just like the big four or big five. But we'll see how that lobbying works. If Citadel's paying $1 billion a year in payment for order flow, he's probably making 5 times that. So,
definitely.
See how they want.
He's not just an altruist. He doesn't want to keep brokers in business out there.
Yes. He's a very nice guy. And every month he buys another $20 million penthouse and another. Hey, listen, all power to him. The guy is brilliant. But considering he started into options relatively late as like a liquidity provider, how long did it take him to dominate the industry? Like 4 years. So he clearly is cut from a different trading rock than there.
That's true. Let's see here. And lest I be accused, someone accused me recently of loving Citadel and others. Yeah, no, they've never been on the network. No crazy love for Citadel on there. Rock Lobster loves them. But I won't, because I want to get some of your questions here. Let's really quickly touch on our question of the week. It's still going. You got about a day left to play if you haven't had options, listeners. Which level will we hit first? VIX of 13, which looked a little bit more relevant yesterday. Bitcoin of 60,000, S&P of 4750, or gold of 2,000. Right now, nearly half of you, 47.4% saying S&P of 4750, followed by about 28.4% for Bitcoin 60K, 15.8% for VIX of 13, and bring up the rear 8.4% for gold. Get on over there at Options. Make your voice heard. Speaking of hearing of his voices, yes, he's back finally from his errand. The Unklest of Mikes. All right, Mr. Uncle Mike, I got one for you here from Mr. Fantastic 511. I like that handle. He says, hi there. Quick question. I've been doing options for income, he says in parentheses, sell put and do covered call. He says, a part of me wants to up my capital by rolling over my 401k into my brokerage account. Would that be a good idea? I know there's a penalty and taxes to be paid when converting a 401k to brokerage. But if my objective is upping my income, is there more downside? Thank you. Love the show. Listen to it on Spotify. Oh, you're one of my Spotify listeners. The growing cadre of Spotify folks out there nearly every day. Please keep doing what you guys are doing. Well, we will keep doing that, Mr. Fantastic. Thanks for writing in. Mr. Uncle Mike, you play a lot in qualified accounts and also brokerage accounts. What do you have to say for Mr. Fantastic here, who's thinking about getting out of the 401k and getting into the old traditional brokerage, sir?
Well, Mr. Fantastic, I think that number one, that's one of my all-time favorite. That's definitely one of the top 5 favorite handles I've ever heard on the show.
That is a good one,
especially since we talked very at length about Mr. Wonderful on Monday, not the Shark Tank guy, but the pro wrestler. But anyway, the first thing that I would look to, Mr. Fantastic, is that number one, if you're still employed, if your 401k, if you're no longer employed at your company. The first thing that I would consider doing is rolling over your 401k into an IRA. And then you can do covered calls and short puts to your heart's content within the IRA, and then there's no penalties whatsoever, assuming you have a broker that's not in the Stone Age, which pretty much every broker we talk about on this show would allow you to do that. If you are still with your employer, this is where it might get a little bit tricky, because you might be thinking, okay, I can't roll over my 401k. So what can I do? Well, one thing, of course, you could withdraw the money, take the penalties for early withdrawals, and go that route. I don't think I would ever do that. But here's what you could do. what you could do is look to do what's called an in-service withdrawal. And that's essentially rolling over your 401k to an IRA while you're still with your employer. Now, your 401k people, your 401k may or may not allow you to do that. I have clients, actually I have clients that listen to this show that have done this with me, and as well as clients that are under 59 and a half. So it can be done. Now, with that, if you go to your HR person and say, can I do in-service withdrawals? They're going to say, I don't know, most likely, because it's kind of a rare thing. Some will, some won't, just depends on your HR person. But what you need to get is what's called the Summary Plan Description, SPD, Summary Plan Description, to find out within all the pages as to whether or not in-service withdrawals are allowed and what you can do with them. They might be allowed to a certain percentage, they might be allowed to the full percentage, or whatever the case may be, but that's where the answer is going to be. If you reach out to me, you can follow me on Twitter at Mike TOSAW, or go to my website, stcharleswealth.com, to find my information. I'm happy. We actually have a guy at our firm that's an expert in SPDs, summary plan descriptions, that can find whether or not you're able to do that. So I would suggest if your HR person looks at you like you have worms crawling out your ears when you ask him or her about an in-service withdrawal, say, okay, thank you. Don't try to convince her and educate her or him what it is. Just say, can I see my summary plan description? Email it to me, and I will look to see if that's available to you free of charge. And that's the route that I would go with it. And then you also might have what's called a brokerage account option within your 401k, to where you can move your money from mutual funds into a brokerage account. And there's a small chance that they will allow options within the brokerage account option within your 401k, but it is highly unlikely to do that, but it's worth asking. If you have anything further, feel free to reach out to me. I'm more than happy to help you with this. I do stuff like this with people all the time, and just kind of a cause for me. I believe that people should be able to trade options with their 401k money if it makes sense to them, and that's just a cause that I've fought for, almost 20 years now. Anyway, that's my thought on it.
Fighting the good fight. How did I know Uncle Mike would be the perfect guy to understand and know all the minutia of that question out there? Unfortunately, that music means we got so excited by all your covered call. I'm giving you guys your loot crates for August that we come up against it. Don't worry, we'll be back in exactly 28 minutes for TWIFO. I may have to shut down the live in between just because we have to rejigger to bring those folks on for TWIFO, so it may cause problems with the live. So we may start it up again in about 28 minutes. So take a break, hit the restroom, get a beverage. Be back in 25 minutes to talk all things lighting it up in equities and crypto and a whole bunch more on TWIFO in a little bit. But before we go, Mr. Uncle Mike, you kind of just let people know, if folks have questions like Mr. Fantastic and they want to hit you up, where should they go? What should they do?
A couple places. You can follow me on Twitter at Mike TOSAW, TOSAW, or check out my website, stcharleswealth.com. I'm a financial advisor who likes to fight the good fight in the option space.
stcharleswealth.com is the place you can go to fight the good fight as well. And Mr. Rock Lobster, if folks want to fight the good fight with you, sir, where should they go? What should they do?
Come on over to optionpit.com. I manage several products at Trading Legion and Capital Gains and Pro Chat and Pro Stuff. Also Vault Trade Club. So all kinds of stuff. So if you want to learn how options work, trade, and learn how to make money with these bad boys, come on over and optionpit.com, in the membership area. And I think so it's 888-TRADE-01 and talk to Ted, and he will be happy to get you all set up. We've been doing this for 10 years at Option Pit. I've been trading 20 years before that. So, I don't know. We've been around the block a little bit, I guess.
Optionpit.com. If you sign up for his new newsletter, I saw it. You get a nice picture of Andrew on there as well as some other guy I don't know, but the 2 pictures on there for the Capital Gains newsletter and a whole bunch more. Optionpit.com is the place to go. We got to go on out of here, but we'll be back in 26 minutes now to break down the world of all things futures options. A lot popping off out there. Listen, it should be fun. And we're back again tomorrow, of course, noon Central, 1 p.m. Eastern. for volatility views, and then 2 p.m. Central, 3 p.m. Eastern for all of you in the secret club for options oddities. Remember, if you have some weird paper, you're talking about any today, you got some other weird paper that's coming across your radar, you need a little help breaking it down, hit us up if you're in a secret club. We could talk about it on oddities. And, of course, we're back next week. Again, another episode of The Option Block.
You're listening to the Options Insider Radio Network, the home of the Options Podcast. For more quality options programs, visit theoptionsinsider.com or search for Options Insider Radio Network in your podcast provider of choice. Listeners can also access all of our programming through our mobile app available in the iTunes and Google Play stores. Select programs are also available via live stream at mixlr.com/options-insider. That's mixlr.com/options-insider. Don't forget to follow along with your favorite programs and submit your own questions for the hosts at twitter.com/options, stocktwits.com/options, facebook.com/theoptionsinsider, or via questions at theoptionsinsider.com.